bring to me.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of AFTERSHOCKS TV, where we feature some of the best underground and independent heavy rock and metal artists across the globe. And today we're going to the crossroads of the West here in the U.S. to beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. As I'd like to welcome to the show the vocalist and electric violin extraordinaire, who for years displayed her musical prowess with doom heavyweight SUBROSA, and she's now blowing heads off of doom metal fans as well everywhere with her new band, the OTOLITH, and their debut full-length Folium Limina, which is out today as we're doing this interview. I'd like to welcome to the show Miss Sarah Pendleton. Sarah, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Oh, man, thank you so much for doing this. I'm great, feeling a lot better than yesterday.
Yeah, so we've obviously don't have you on the camera here, so you want to go ahead and explain to, I guess, the audience here?
Yeah, I had some pretty bad food poisoning yesterday and was just barfing all day, which is totally metal. Feeling much better today, but yeah, still kind of a wreck. I'm just like, woo.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. You know, the fact that you're sick, I still appreciate you, coming on and doing this. So thanks again, Sarah. Really do appreciate it.
Totally happy to.
Okay, great. So yeah, Folium Limina out today, the debut double LP out now on Blues Funeral Recordings. And for the listeners and viewers, if you're a SUBROSA fan and were as disappointed as I was when hearing of the band's dissolution back in 2019, let your heart not be troubled, as this is one impressive debut record. And of course, it also consists of 4 of the 5 members. So before we get into talking about some of the music, Sarah, if you don't mind, I guess just talk about really how the OTOLITH came to fruition out of the ashes of SUBROSA.
Yeah, the end of SUBROSA was really, really tough for all of us. And, you know, at first, I think we all kind of wanted to just like tuck our tails between our legs and go hide in a hole somewhere. But it didn't take long before we realized, I mean, the worst part of that heartbreak over the breakup of SUBROSA was just missing each other's company and missing creating together. And we just knew we had to come together and make something new. We didn't have any idea what was going to happen. We didn't know if we would write albums. We just started getting together at each other's houses and just jamming, because that's what we needed in order to heal.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Now, was there, I guess, when you guys started, getting together and write for the OTOLITH, I mean, was there an adjustment period, especially with the songwriting? Since I think I remember seeing an interview that you did with Rebecca some years ago, where you both were talking about the songwriting process for SUBROSA and how she would sort of start the foundations of the songs, and I guess the rest of you would sort of then add your parts into it later. So, I mean, had the 4 of you ever gotten together and created music before, or did this all just happen after you guys after the band parted ways?
Yeah, it was a totally new process, and there's no right or wrong way. The way we did it in SUBROSA worked great. And the way we do it in the OTOLITH is wonderful too. But yeah, it's a totally new process. We are almost writing the songs in real time. And any of the 5 of us can write a song, write a riff, and bring it to the table. And then we work at it and we make something out of it.
Very fantastic. Well, let's talk about the album's first single, the 13.5-minute opus Sing No Coda. Stellar mix, really, of those sludgy doom riffs, obviously, that you guys were known for with SUBROSA, but it's also topped off now with those sultry sounds that emanate from both yourself and your tag team violin partner there, Kim. And, this track, I just love this track. And I did read an interview that you did that lyrically, it sort of revolves, I think, around sort of a lot of the disconnect with personal relationships due to the world being on lockdown for a couple of years there. So why don't you go ahead, Sarah, and just talk a little bit more about Sing No Coda and how the lyrics pertain to what you were, I guess, going through at the time you wrote it.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because it was such a painful time for all of us, but it's one of the only things from my lifetime that I can think of that unites the entire planet in one experience. And so everyone can relate to this, but it was a weird, I got kind of a weird hypochondria You know, every time I'd feel a little twinge, I just thought, oh, am I dying? You know,
Mm,
and I wonder how many people, I know some friends that went through the same thing, and I wonder how many people went through that. And you know, it actually is kind of maddening over time.
mhm,
When, you know, but even worse than that was really just the loneliness and feeling like, you know, you're being left behind, and you just miss everyone so much.
mhm. Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, like you said, one of the silver linings, if there is any, with the pandemic, is that a lot of great music did come out of, the pandemic, and because people are in such a, in that headspace throughout it all. And, unfortunately, a lot of times, those times do create great art. And which is obviously evident, with this song and a lot of the stuff you did on this record. So, um, but and the other thing I just want to ask you too about, with the songwriting is really in terms of the music and the instrumentation. If you don't mind, I guess maybe talk a bit about, what it was that you and the rest of the band wanted to do, maybe consciously do different with the Otolith than what you did previously with SUBROSA in terms of that approach. I mean, was there anything where did you guys just kind of get together and just see what happened, or did you have any conscious ideas that you wanted to change that maybe you always hoping maybe you could have done or wanted to do with SUBROSA?
Yeah, it was really just kind of a gamble because we didn't
Mm,
have a plan in place. We just got together and thought, well, let's see what happens. And you know, it was rocky at first because we didn't have a process in place. But then it just kind of flourished, and it just was born out of the time that we spent together. And you know, Levi would write a song, or Kim would write a song, or I would write a song. And Andy always has these incredible ideas about like noise and samples and different kinds of percussion. And, you know, it's just everything is welcome at the table. And, you know, at first it's like a little bit of chaos, but now we
mm.
kind of have it down. And I love the process.
Sure. Absolutely. And the music too, I mean, to me at least, it definitely seems a little bit, I would say, darker, heavier, and folkier than what you guys had done previously. Was that one of the musical maybe sort of goals that you guys set out to do, or did it just once again to just kind of come out that way?
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that because those are things that we definitely value. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, it wasn't intended. I think, you know, each member of the band had things that they wanted to express sonically and lyrically. For instance, the track "Dispirit,"
Mm-hmm.
that's the album closer. That
Hmm.
is a very personal song that Levi wrote after his wife died.
Oh wow. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
he'd been holding that song for quite a while, and we were just so happy to bring it into the world as you know through the otolith to be the shunt for that was a huge privilege.
Wow. Yeah. I can imagine. Absolutely. Well, now, I mean, obviously, listening to that song now, it's going to have a different, just thinking of that, it'll obviously have a bit more, I guess, context or feel to it. Just knowing that that's where it came from, and that's, I think that's really, noble of them to share that experience too with the listeners. I think that's, I think a lot of listeners will enjoy that a lot. Absolutely. So now vocally, Sarah, I mean, you're in the lead now. Obviously, instead of doing backing vocals like you did previously, and there's also a massive difference, obviously, between, in my opinion, your style approach and what Rebecca's was. Where I felt she came maybe from more of to me, it sounded more like a punk sort of alternative angle, which is obviously a lot different from your style and approach, which is, really more of that sort of, melodic, avant-garde and new age, feel to me. And it has those harmonies, and it just seems a little bit more melodic in nature with the Otolith. I mean, was there ever moments, I guess, between either yourself or the other members when you were in SUBROSA where you couldn't really help but wonder, maybe what your music would sound like if maybe you were doing the lead vocals and maybe not Rebecca? Did that ever occur to you guys when you were in the previous band?
No, because in Sub Rosa, I mean, Rebecca's voice was just perfect for what we were
Mm,
doing, you know, and
mm,
it really, really worked. But when we started this band, you know, we had to work with what we have, which is my voice and Kim's voice. And I cannot tell you how much I love harmonizing with her because the vocal parts that she writes and, you know, the lyrics that she contributes are so beautiful. And, you know, I'm in a lower register and she's in a higher register. So it just is, it's perfect. And
Mhm.
yeah, to have her as my vocal partner is amazing.
And, you know, my favorite song on the record is the second track on the record, Andromeda's Wing. I just love that really main part of the song. It just has a real dark, sort of harrowing feel to it. And I just, you know, I love how the song starts off too with I think it's Levi's his harsh vocals that come in, and it's just a track that really just you get sucked into right away and just ride for that whole, you know, 9-10 minutes there. Talk about that song and what that represents and really how that all came together.
Oh yeah. I mean, I want to say Levi is he's always so self-deprecating and, you know, he shies away from compliments and praise, but his growl vocals are
Uh,
just so
awesome.
powerful. They
Yeah.
just blow our shit away. It's amazing.
Mhm.
Can I say shit?
Yeah, you did. You can say yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Say whatever you
Uh,
want. Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, but that song, you know, instrumentally, musically, we were writing it for a while, and then I started to realize how well the lyrical theme the lyrical theme is from some recurring dreams that I have.
Okay.
And I started to realize, like, oh man, this would really fit with this song. And so basically, I mean, the song is about a sleepwalker who she is walking through the countryside at night while sleeping. She's passing by, you know, animals that seem to be watching her, and she's drawn to a natural spring where she hangs out with some aliens, and they talk about how we can maybe save the planet.
So, you know, one of the things too, you know, Sarah, about you, you know, your music, whether it was with SUBROSA or now with the OTOLITH, is that to me, people have to really see you and the others play live to really get, I think, the power and the essence of what your music is about. You know, this to me, this type of, you know, music is meant for a live setting, or at least on a vinyl. You know, I mean, you have to have that vinyl. And I encourage all our viewers there to go pick up the vinyl of this record. It's you're really going to get the real experience. So, I mean, for you guys as a band, I mean, how difficult, or I should say, maybe challenging, is it to capture what you sound like live and really get that, into onto a recording in the studio? Because I mean, I would think it had to be sort of an arduous process to really to get to the point where you're satisfied with what you're doing in the studio because this stuff is so amazing live. Is it really difficult or challenging, or is it pretty easy for you guys?
Well, I think we are coming from a place of privilege on that because Andy is also an extraordinary sound engineer and he has his studio, and that's where we practice and that's where we record. And
Okay.
so having a member of the band also be our sound engineer puts us in a unique and wonderful spot for that.
Hmm.
I think without that, it would be a thousand times tougher,
Okay.
because it's yeah, he knows exactly what we're going for because he's part of it.
Sure. Okay.
um, but also I have to say, like, having a deadline put on us, where we had to deliver the mastered tracks was also good, because
Okay.
when you don't have that parameter, sometimes you can just like go crazy and not know when to rein yourself in, you
Sure.
know.
To overdo it. Yeah. Sure. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No. Well, and speaking of live sittings, I mean, I know. Let's talk about a couple of festivals I know you guys played at recently, which I've got to get to these next year just for some of the things I've seen and heard. It's phenomenal. We'll start with the most recent one, Monolith on the Mesa, that took place in Dow, New Mexico this past September. Talk about playing in that kind of a setting with that style of music you play. I mean, did it have sort of an ethereal feel to it, just playing a set in a region like that?
Oh man. Well, we didn't play that festival actually.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you guys were scheduled for that. No.
Yeah, we were so bummed. We
Oh.
on the roster and scheduled to play that festival since 2020, when it kept getting pushed back. And
Hmm.
we were so excited to do it. And then we had to drop off because of personal reasons
Oh, okay.
at the last minute. And we were so sad about that. And the organizers of that festival are amazing people. And yeah, we really want to be a part of it. So we're hoping they will invite us back, even
Hmm.
though we had to let them down, which was a bummer, but sometimes you just can't help it.
Absolutely. Yep. Life gets in the way. Yeah, it just happens. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
the one I know you did play because I did see the video of it was the Fire in the Mountains Festival in Wyoming, which I heard just to get to that place was quite the adventure. And but I mean, what a beautiful setting. I mean, in the mountains of Wyoming there. I mean, talk about playing that. I mean, it's because, like I said, it sounded like it was sort of a pilgrimage just to even get there. But what a majestic view and just breathtaking stuff it seemed like.
Well, that, yeah, that was, after everything that I've seen, everywhere we've been, that festival is now in my top 5 of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Hmm.
Because the setting is so gorgeous. It's rustic, but it's still comfortable. We slept in these teepees that are up on the
Very
mountainside.
cool.
You step out of your teepee in the morning and you look down and you see the festival grounds and the stage and people
Wow.
gathering. you know, our set was pretty early on in the day and it was really hot outside. So my
Mhm.
heart just like burst, because I was looking out at all these people who were braving the afternoon heat to watch us, and being out
Mhm.
on that stage with the Tetons as a backdrop. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
you can't
Yeah.
I
Can't
can't
beat
even
it.
tell you. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and just seeing so many friends that we hadn't seen for so long was amazing. And there were so many good performances. Oh, yeah, it was incredible.
Swept clean of us. For us, follow. Forest crippled, clay canvas.
So, Sarah, so now what's the plan, I guess, for the band in terms of really getting this music into as many ears and hands as possible? This record. I mean, are you going to continue to play festivals? Is there any maybe plans to maybe tour here in the States or overseas? So just talk about the future plans for the Odolith.
Yeah, I mean, I just, want to give a shout out, first of all, to Blues Funeral, because Jad, he went out on a limb and kind of gambled on us. And, when you when you sign an unknown band, you never know what's going to happen. And without his help, we wouldn't be here. So he's done a phenomenal job of getting the music out there and helping us promote things. And it's just been an amazing experience. So, first of all, hell yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Jad.
Thank you,
Uh,
Jad. Maybe
yeah.
to the listeners too. Thank you, Jad.
And as far as touring goes, we're grown-ups, which is it's
I know.
awesome and also difficult. And we have, kiddos and
Sure.
mortgages and jobs and all that. So we're not going to be doing a ton of long tours, but we're definitely aiming for the moon, as far as like we'd love to do Roadburn and Hellfest and Arctangent, and
Awesome.
I mean, I could go on there, all those amazing festivals. And who knows, we'll be looking out for some good tours, and hopefully being able to support some great bands in the next little while.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to see that. Hopefully you'll come out this way and to California so we can check you out. But for everyone else out there, if they can't check you out, definitely go grab a copy of this eclectic debut release by the OTOLITH, titled Folium Limina, out now on Blues Funeral Recordings. And Sarah, where should we send the viewers and listeners to go buy a copy of the record, as well as just to keep up with the band in general with show dates and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so you can follow us on Instagram, the OTOLITH Band, or you can go to our Bandcamp, or you can go to bluesfuneral.com, and you'll be able to, we have some merch, and then of course the album available. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you and make things happen.
Fantastic. Well, once again, the band is the OTOLITH, Folium Limina is the record. And Sarah, thanks for coming on Aftershocks, and good luck with the record and everything else that's going on with the band in the future.
Thank you so much, Matt. This was really awesome.